On the 20th of September 2025, United welcomed into their goal-scoring pantheon just the 23rd player of all time to become a Centurion, i.e. reaching 100 goals for the club, after skipper Bruno Fernandes scored against Chelsea. That feat took him 297 appearances. Now check out the other 22 Centurions in the order of how many games it took to complete, starting with the most. Ryan Giggs is the most decorated United player of all time. The Welshman took a massive 488 matches to become the 18th United Centurion in August 2002 during a 2-2 draw with Chelsea. Debuting in March 91 against Everton, he ended playing up a record 963 games, scoring 168 goals. Ryan won 35 major honours before quitting the game as a one-club man in May 2014. With 116 fewer appearances to reach 100 goals, Giggs' teammate Paul Scholes was the next player to become a Centurion after him, albeit it was about 8 months later, the Ginger Prince's second goal against Blackburn Rovers in April 2004. Paul Scholes could definitely score goals, with 155 in 718 games, earning him 25 winners' medals. Another one-club man, Scholes retired twice, finally quitting the game in May 2013. The player to become a Centurion before Bruno Fernandes was Marcus Rashford, who took 318 fixtures to be the 21st quickest player to 100 United goals. The feat was achieved when the Mancunian scored the winning goal against West Ham in October 2022. Rashford's had a torrid time, and regardless of his 138 United goals and 6 winners' medals, he's been out on loan. Outside left George Wall scored on his debut in 1906 when we were a second-tier side. The Geordie became part of the first successful United side, winning 5 trophies. George scored exactly 100 goals for United in 307 appearances, the third Red to achieve this feat, bringing up his ton from the penalty spot in a 4-2 defeat at Goodison Park in October 1914. Legendary United striker Joe Spence spent 14 years at Old Trafford and was the next Centurion after George Wall, achieving his target 13 years later in his 302nd appearance against Cardiff City in a 2-2 draw in 1927. Joe left as the club's record appearance maker and top scorer with 168 strikes in a massive 510 games. Now we reach the 18th quickest Centurion, and it's back to the latest member of this exclusive club, Bruno Fernandes, when he opened the scoring against Chelsea on the 20th of September this year. It took the Portuguese 297 matches to complete the feat. The player who was the 17th quickest to 100 goals, achieving it in 278 games, was arguably the greatest talent to walk through the doors at Old Trafford, George Best. Playing his first match in September 1963, he'd won all he was going to win for United by the time he scored his 100th goal against Burnley in April 1969, including 2 league titles and a European Cup. The Ulsterman walked away from the club in 1974. The first player to become a Centurion whilst I've been supporting United came 22 years after Best, when Mark Hughes scored on the opening day of the 91-92 campaign against Notts County. It took Sparky 267 appearances to reach that feat, and by that time he'd won 2 FA Cups, a Cup Winners' Cup, a League Cup and a Super Cup. He'd go on to win much more before leaving Old Trafford for a second time in 1995. After a 22-year wait between Best and Hughes, there was less than a year between Hughes and the 14th United player to reach 100 goals, Brian McClair. Chocky managed to reach his goal slightly quicker than Sparky, taking 258 matches, 9 fewer than the Welshman. That would come in the devastating 2-1 home defeat to Forest in April 1992, on the way to United losing out on the league title to Leeds. McClair would go on to win 4 league titles, 2 FA Cups and a European Cup Winners' Cup before leaving the club in 1998. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was United's 17th Centurion. He reached the milestone on the 17th of August 2002 with the winner against West Bromwich Albion. It took him just 255 games. The Norwegian won 6 league titles, 2 FA Cups and a Champions League before retiring due to a knee injury in 2007. Cristiano Ronaldo became the 20th United 100 goal maker on the 15th of November 2008 in a 5-0 win over Stoke after 253 matches. The Portuguese moved to Old Trafford in 2003 and left 6 years later with 3 league titles, a Champions League and a handful of other trophies. A player who gelled perfectly with Ronaldo was Wayne Rooney. He was the 12th quickest United player to 100 goals in 242 games. The Scouser managed that feat within a year of the Portuguese in a 5-0 victory over Wigan in August 2009. Stan Pearson was a star of Matt Busby's first great post-war side. After coming through the U side in the 30s, He completed the 100-goal target in 239 fixtures. Stan reached the pinnacle on March the 17th, 1951 in a 3-0 win over Everton. Stan won a Championship Winners' Medal, an FA Cup and scored 148 goals in his 343 games before leaving to Bury in 1954. War hero Sandy Turnbull was just the second United Centurion in our history, and the first as a Manchester United rather than Newton Heath player. In his decade on the red side of Manchester, Sandy won 2 league titles and scored the winner in the 1909 FA Cup final. His penultimate goal for the club, his 100th, came in a defeat at Notts County on the 26th of September 1914. It took him 236 matches to achieve this. He left the club soon after and fell in 1917 on the fields of Flanders. Andy Cole was the 16th Red Devil to become a Centurion, his turn coming in just 218 games. He moved from Newcastle in 1995 and almost exactly 5 years later, on the 26th of February 2000, he reached his 100-goal target against Wimbledon in a 2-2 draw. Andy Cole would leave Old Trafford to Ewood Park in 2001 with 5 Premier League winners' medals, 2 FA Cups and a Champions League. Jack Rowley was the biggest name in Matt Busby's first great side in the 1940s and early 50s. Like number 11 on the list, teammate Stan Pearson, Rowley came through the youth ranks before World War II, biding his time to make his mark after the resumption of the Football League programme. Jack was the 5th Centurion at United and a true goal-scoring legend, completing his 100 goals in just 198 appearances, and left Old Trafford with a massive 211 goals, a club record, and a league title and FA Cup winners' medal to boot. In the era of Best Law and Charlton, David Hurd was an unsung hero with reputedly the hardest shot in English football. The Scot arrived in his prime from Arsenal in 1961 and just over 4 years later reached his century with his second goal as part of a hat-trick against Fulham in a 4-1 win on the 23rd of October 1965. He was the 11th United player to reach 3 figures. Joe Cassidy was our first Centurion, albeit as a Newton Heath player, with almost all of his goals coming in the second tier, a record he still holds with the club. Joe had 2 spells at Bank Street. He scored exactly 100 goals over 174 matches, with his ton coming in his 171st appearance on the 31st of March 1900, the last in a hat-trick against Luton Town in a 5-0 win. He was the joint 5th quickest to get that 3-figure haul. Sir Bobby Charlton, the second of the Holy Trinity to appear on this list, is level with Joe Cassidy, with the record of being the 5th quickest to 100 United goals, coming likewise on his 171st game for the club. Debuting in 1956, Mr. Manchester United became the 9th Red Devil to become a Centurion on the 26th of August 1961, after getting the opening goal in a 6-1 top-flight victory over Blackburn. By the time he'd left Old Trafford, he'd scored a then club record 249 goals in another record 758 games. He'd won 3 league titles, an FA Cup, a European Cup and the World Cup for England. Dennis Viollet bettered Charlton and Cassidy's race to 100 goals, achieving the feat in just 168 games. Dennis was the 8th Red Devil to reach the 100-goal mark, which he did after scoring his second goal in a 7-2 victory over Bolton on the 18th of January 1958, just before the Munich air disaster. Dennis won 2 league titles and 2 FA Cups, as well as still holding the record for the most league goals in a United season, 32. He left for Stoke in 1962. The third fastest Red to 100 goals was a United legend cut down at Munich and was the foil for the aforementioned Dennis Viollet. Taylor joined from Barnsley and scored so efficiently he made his target in just 146 appearances. This achievement came with dark irony, as it was during a 3-0 win over Athletic Bilbao on the 6th of February 1957. A year to the day later, his life would be lost at Munich. Tommy passed after winning 2 league titles and scoring 131 goals in 191 appearances, the best goals to game ratio of any United player. Ruud van Nistelrooy, from the start, was the most lethal and natural striker I'd ever seen in a United shirt. There was no messing about, his finishing was clinical, there wasn't any part of him that wasn't touched by goal-scoring genius. The Dutchman became United's 19th Centurion against Everton on the 7th of February 2004, his first of 2 that day, completing the feat in a miraculous 131 appearances. Only a moment of verbal stupidity on the training ground saw his exit from the club. The King, Denis Law, had retired a couple of years before I was born, so I never saw him play. But if I was left in awe by Ruud and his record, It took Dennis just 110 matches to get 100 goals, 21 fewer than the Dutchman. Law became the 10th player at the club to achieve that feat in a 2-2 draw against Forest on the 16th of January 1965, his second of a brace that day. For those who watched him, there'll only ever be one king of the Stretford end. With his natural talent, combativeness and goal scoring, Denis Law, the 10th Centurion, with 237 goals in 404 matches, 2 league titles, an FA Cup and a European Cup, tops the list. So there are your 23 Manchester United Centurions. It's hard to compare eras, but which one was the best you saw? Write in the comments below and please like, share and subscribe. Thank you as always for your support.